Meet Lester the Molester. The Raiders cornerback was
You know that's me. That's Little Loti, Bobs, Loti, Bobs, Loti, Bobs, 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 Loti.
What's going on, channel? It's your boy Little T. Back for the ring off. Rockin', man. Hey, man. Check it out. We got how NFL players got their nickname. And rock out to me. Let's get it.
While most players become legends for their accomplishments on the field, nothing etches a player into NFL lore quicker than a great nickname. From Beast Mode to Megatron to the Galloping Ghost. Every name tells a unique story. Right, Kirk Thuggins?
That's absolutely right.
That's why we're breaking down the best nicknames in NFL history and where they came from. And who better to start with than one of the biggest to ever do it, William the Refrigerator Perry. The 325-pound Chicago Bear legend was far from ordinary. But it was while doing one of the most ordinary of things, his laundry, that everything changed. At Clemson, Perry and a teammate squeezed into their dorm elevator with loads of laundry. Realizing how much space Perry took up, his teammate dropped what he thought would make for a great diss, saying, "Dude, you're as big as a refrigerator." But what started as a diss quickly caught fire and followed Perry all the way to Super Bowl 20, where the fridge bulldozed into the end zone for a 1-yard touchdown run to help Chicago lift their first and only Lombardi trophy. Countless NFL players have embraced larger-than-life nicknames that capture their imposing presence, like Steelers teammates Big Ben Roethlisberger and Jerome the Bus Bettis. Then you also have Ed Too Tall Jones, who was once told he was too tall to play football because he couldn't fit into a pair of team pants.
How tall
then
is he?
there's 6'5", 239-pound Calvin Johnson. When his teammate Roy Williams took one look at the 2007 first-round draft pick's extraordinary size and strength, he knew he needed a nickname that matched his cool but intimidating look. At the time, the Transformers movie craze was at its peak, and Jones, being a huge fan of the franchise, began comparing Johnson's build and indestructibility to the leader of the Decepticons, known as Megatron.
Is there anyone who'll challenge the might of Megatron?
While the movies came and went, Megatron became a mainstay in Detroit, with off-the-field nice guy Johnson embracing the role of supervillain on Sundays, shredding opposing cornerbacks with robot-like precision. But Calvin wasn't the only dominant Johnson at wideout with a nickname for the ages. In honor of the NFL's celebration of Spanish Heritage Month, Chad Johnson started referring to himself by what he thought was the correct Spanish translation of his jersey number, Ocho Cinco.
He tried to speak a lot of Spanish, and he was always wrong when he tried to put them into a sentence.
Máquina, ven aquí.
Sure, the translation, like a lot of things Chad did, was a little off. But the fans, and more importantly, Chad, loved the
But that's crazy because now we're fed him now. Now we call him Ocho. Like, I don't even who really call him Chad, bro? Like, it's probably like them rare people that really call him Chad. But no, he's known as Ocho.
Ocho name, and the persona that came with it. And in 2008, Chad legally changed his name to Ocho Cinco.
Ocho Cinco from now on. Anybody that writes about whatever I say today, you call me Ocho Cinco. Do not say Chad.
Now, lots of players embrace their nickname, but how many have embraced it enough to walk into the DMV and ask for a change of name?
That shit is crazy.
Only Ocho.
Let's go.
Another Bengal with a killer nickname is Adam Jones, a next-level return man whose first scouting report came during Pee Wee football, when his grandmother told him that because of the way he avoided tacklers and changed direction on a dime, people should call him Pac-Man, after the always-on-the-move video game character. Shout out to Grandma, as Jones has gone by Pac-Man ever since. Speaking of video games, Seahawks legend Marshawn Lynch ran the ball like a created player with max stats on Madden. Lynch's youth football coach recognized that early on and always called Marshawn a beast on the field. From then on, Beast Mode was born, and it couldn't fit Marshawn's run style any better. When Beast Mode is activated, he's nearly impossible to tackle, with no better example than his spectacular 67-yard touchdown run against the Saints in 2010, which fans still refer to as the Beast Quake. While Lynch was a beast on the field, off the field, he was a little more reserved.
You kind of shy.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Which is the complete opposite of our next player, Deion Sanders, the only player in history to play in both a Super Bowl and a World Series. But the nickname Primetime didn't even come from either of the two sports he's most known for. Deion earned the Primetime name from his friends after scoring 37 points in a high school basketball game. Today, Sanders is better known as Coach Prime, as his flashy play style has seamlessly translated into a dynamic coaching approach that has made Colorado a household name in college football. And before Prime coached at Colorado, he led Jackson State to back-to-back SWAC championships. But had Prime Time been at JSU 50 years earlier, he would have coached the next player on our list, the legendary Walter Payton, a.k.a. Sweetness. Some say the name refers to his smooth and graceful running style on the
When they
field,
say Sweetness,
while
I think
others say the
of
name came
Roll
from
Mouth, not even gonna
Payton's
lie.
good-natured personality. Whichever it was, the nickname was awesome. But he's just one of many unique running back nicknames we've seen over the years.
I know he
In the
appeared tonight.
1940s, a Chicago sports
Hey,
writer
40s?
famously shouted out Elroy Hirsch's unorthodox running style, writing that he moved like
Ew.
a demented duck,
Why he, no bullshit, why he running like that? Ew.
whose crazy legs
Ew.
appeared to gyrate in 6 different directions at once.
the
While
fuck?
Demented Duck would have been an amazing nickname, Crazy Legs was the name that stuck. The Nigerian-born
Yeah,
Chiefs
your
running
names are
back Christian
crazy.
Okoye's powerful run game struck so much
Hey,
fear into
big man.
defenses, teammates dubbed him the Nigerian Nightmare. Then there's Bears running back Red Grange, who is one of the NFL's earliest superstars. The fans started calling him the Galloping Ghost after he scored 4 touchdowns in the first 12 minutes of a game. They said it as if no one could tackle Grange or even
Wait, what did
see.
he say? He said 12 touchdowns. He said 12?
Started calling him the Galloping Ghost after he scored 4 touchdowns
Oh,
in the
4.
first 12 minutes of a game.
I was ready
They
to say
said it
12
as
was
if
crazy.
no one
4
could
is still
tackle
crazy, too.
Grange or even see Grange, like he was some kind of ghost. Solid wordplay and pop culture references always
Hall.
make for great nicknames. Broadcasters have started
Yeah,
referring
nickname?
to Jets running back Brees Hall as Brees Lightning.
Breeze lightning!
I never
A play
heard
off
somebody
the
call
speedy
him that.
muscle car Grease Lightning from the
Shit, we
1970s
doing
John
that, John
Travolta
Gibbs
movie
got Sonic.
Grease. And we can't
Montgomery
forget
call him
about
Knuckles
Howard
now.
Hopalong Cassidy, who had the hops, but also a nickname lifted off the popular 1950s Hollywood cowboy Hopalong Cassidy. From hop to hip hop,
CMC.
Niners running back Christian McCaffrey's nickname, Run CMC, hits hard as it plays off his position, his initials, and arguably the greatest hip hop trio of all time, Run DMC. But the king of handling
King
the
Harry.
rock, scoring touchdowns and stiff-arming defenders into the dirt is none other than Derrick Henry, a.k.a. King Henry. How Henry received the King moniker is still widely debated. Some say the name first popped following a magazine interview where Henry said his all-time favorite movie was The Lion King, which Henry denies. But what's most likely is that Derrick Henry has an insanely dominant run style that can easily draw parallels to the power and authority held by a king. Derrick Henry's field presence rules over opposing defenses with no greater crowning example than the majestic stiff arm Henry
Damn.
delivered to Buffalo's Josh Norman in
That shit
2020.
still- boy, imagine
Speaking
if
of the
the
Bills,
crowd was in that
Jim
when he did
Kelly's
that.
nickname is based off the real-life Machine Gun Kelly. Not that Machine Gun Kelly, but the 1930s Prohibition-era gangster Machine Gun Kelly. With a cannon for an arm, it's no surprise Kelly landed a nickname somehow tied to firearms. Plus, his steady use of the shotgun formation, coupled with his ability to spray the ball around the field with rapid-fire precision, no doubt contributed to him scoring, literally, an absolute gangster of a nickname. How about another player whose nickname conjures up thoughts of criminal deviance? Meet Lester the Molester. The Raiders' cornerback was
I don't even got no words, bro. What the fuck? Less
tied to firearms. Plus, his steady use of the shotgun formation, coupled with his ability to spray the ball around the
Hell
field with
no.
rapid-fire precision,
fuck
no
thought of
doubt
that?
contributed to him scoring, literally, an absolute gangster of a nickname. How about another player whose nickname conjures up thoughts of criminal deviance? Meet
Lester the
Lester the
Molester
Molester.
is
The Raiders' cornerback was
crazy.
known for his aggressive coverage and knack for
Hell
sticking to
no.
receivers like glue. Opposing receivers called Lester Hayes an absolute menace, a pest, a nuisance. But a molester?
It's
Well, by the
crazy.
textbook definition, on the field, Lester was a person who harasses or bothers someone in an unwanted or persistent way.
I know,
So,
but-
yeah, Lester was a molester.
I understand it's true, like, if you're going by definition, but come on, bro.
Not a nickname you'd want to bring up on a first date,
Right.
but back in the
What's your name,
1970s,
Lester
it
the
was an
Molester?
extremely intimidating nickname on the gridiron. Jumping from a former Raiders great
his
to a
nickname?
current Raiders great,
Max
Max
Crosby? You got a
Crosby
nickname?
plays the game angry. Just ask Gardner Minshew.
Dude, Max Crosby is so damn angry.
So, Crosby's Mad Max nickname, based
Oh,
on the
I never called
apocalyptic
him that.
movie franchise, fits perfectly. But Crosby isn't the only
Debo.
player with a nickname inspired by Hollywood. If you thought Niners wideout Debo Samuel's first name was actually Debo, you'd be wrong. It's Tyshawn.
Never
Debo
knew
was a
that.
nickname given to him by his dad, who said his son's tough, fearless demeanor reminded him of the cross-eyed neighborhood bully, Debo, from the 1995 Ice Cube comedy, Friday. Just like with Debo Samuel, you
So
know
he
your
might as well change
nickname's
his
on
name at this
point
point.
when it starts replacing your actual name.
Yeah, for real.
We see it with players like Booger McFarland,
Nope.
Cadillac Williams,
Nope.
and
Never heard of
Jets
him.
star corner
Sauce.
Sauce Gardner.
Bro, oh God, I don't know Saul's first name. Like, oh God, what is his first name?
Whose friends stopped calling him Ahmed once they learned
Ahmed?
of Gardner's
Wow.
obsession with dipping sauces. Oddly enough, this simple love for condiments soon started translating to his slick game on the field. His Pee Wee football coach called him A1 Sauce Sweet Feet Gardner.
I was saucy with the juke moves.
Gardner took it even further, creating an entire persona around the Sauce name, giving him an extra level of confidence that he says helped him become one of the best lockdown corners in the game today. If Sauce keeps at it, he might one day be mentioned alongside another all-time defender with a nickname fans often mistake for his real first name. Unlike Gardner, who went
Deacon.
4th overall in 2022, David Jones entered the league in 1961
Jones, shorty, stop playing with it.
far less fanfare. Selected by the LA Rams in the 14th round, pick number 186. Jones refused to be defined by his draft number and decided a clever nickname was just what he needed to make a splash in the league. In the 60s, football was considered brutally barbaric. So Jones thought a name that leaned the opposite direction could create an identity fans would never forget, dubbing himself Deacon. Sure enough, 60 years later, Deacon Jones is still talked about as one of the greatest pass rushers ever. Another high-profile defender with a religious nickname was Reggie White. Sure, his alter ego might kinda sound like the name of a U.S. cabinet position, but the Minister of Defense was inspired by a higher calling. White, one of the greatest defensive players ever, was an ordained Baptist minister. So the moniker was the perfect tribute to his two areas of expertise. But now, let's switch gears to
O.J.
a
Simpson.
not-so-religious player.
R.I.P..
O.J. Simpson.
No matter what
Long
you think
before
about him, man.
Orenthal James Simpson became known for more infamous reasons, O.J. loved going by the name Juice, an obvious play on his initials. Though many would argue a more appropriate nickname for Simpson would have been the one safety Jack Tatum went by,
Damn, he's
the
smacking shit.
Assassin, a name given to him by teammates for the vicious hits he'd deliver to unsuspecting,
Boy, he disrespect. I gotta watch some of his highlights. The assassin.
not-so-religious player.
What's his real name?
O.J. Simpson. Long before Orenthal
He's
James
smacking
Simpson
shit.
became known for more
On some
infamous
disrespectful
reasons,
type level,
O.J.
boy.
loved
Really
going by the
pushing
name
niggas shit and
Juice,
everything.
an obvious play on his initials. Though many would argue a more appropriate nickname for Simpson would have been the one safety Jack Tatum went by, the Assassin, a name given to him by teammates for the vicious hits
Damn,
he delivered
damn.
to unsuspecting
Damn.
wideouts, back when it was still okay
Damn.
to do that sort of thing. Another
Knock your
lights
chin
out
straps
defensive
off.
player is Sean Merriman, whose nickname was just that, Lights Out Merriman. Sean earned the nickname in high school after knocking out 4 opposing
I
players.
remember him. He was
in
on
a
that,
single
the tour game.
The name followed him to the NFL, where he unveiled his signature sack dance, aptly named the Lights Out Dance. Speaking of lights, the next player's nickname was inspired by the bright lights of Broadway. When Joe Namath was drafted by the Jets in 1965, New York embraced the flashy quarterback with open arms. But that's not what earned him the name Broadway Joe. The name was initially a jab from teammate Sherman Plunkett, who was jealous of all the attention the unproven rookie was receiving. Following Namath's splashy
with the
Sports
Jets.
Illustrated cover shoot, complete with the bright lights of Broadway in the background, Plunkett hit Joe with what he thought would be the ultimate diss. The only problem was, Namath loved the Broadway Joe name, which he rode with going into Super Bowl III, defeating the Colts in the upset of the century. There's something about quarterbacks named Joe that's just cool. We had a Joe Cool in the 80s and 90s with Joe Montana, who never seemed to be shaken in clutch time. He was even called the comeback kid for his innate ability to come from behind and win, dating back to his college days at Notre Dame. But today, there's another who's taken on the Joe Cool moniker,
Joe
and he plays in
Burrow.
Cincinnati. But honestly, what nickname hasn't Joe Burrow taken on? You have the aforementioned Joe Cool, then there's Joe Shiesty,
Joe Shiesty.
Joey Franchise, the Tiger King, which is a play on the
I ain't never
popular
heard none of 'em. I
Netflix
heard Joe Shiesty,
documentary,
yo.
coupled with
And
Burrow
Joe
playing
Cool.
for the Bengals. And then there's simply Joe Burr,
Yep, Joe
because of his
Burr.
icy, composed demeanor in situations that would make lesser quarterbacks buckle under pressure. Another cool under pressure quarterback, minus what we saw in Super Bowl 51, is Matt Ryan, who earned the nickname Matty Ice
Yep,
during his
I
high
heard
school
that.
days in Philly. Next on our list is a QB who
What was
earned his
his name?
nickname
Kirk
thanks
Cousins?
to a different kind of ice.
Giant Cousins,
Kirk
what was his
Cousins
name?
is known for his calm demeanor and quiet leadership on the field, but the internet saw a completely different side of Kirk on the team plane following a win over Washington in 2022. During the flight, video emerged of a hyped-up Cousins rocking a pair of shades and about a dozen or so of his teammates' iced-out chains. This was the moment Kirk Cousins transformed into Kirk Thuggins, or Lil Kirko. The biggest meme of the 2022
No, it was
NFL
never that.
season.
It was something else.
Thuggins danced and moved to the beat with an unbelievable level of swagger
It was
that
something
no
else we
one
called
thought
him.
Kirk had in him. But Cousins isn't the only NFL star with dance moves. 70 years earlier, during Rams training camp, cornerback Dick Lane would juke and jive up and down the hallway every time a teammate started spinning the 1952 hit R&B record, Night Train. His late-night moves were so amusing, players couldn't help but start calling him Night Train from then on. Lane hated the nickname at first, but changed his tune after tackling halfback Choo Choo Justice on a critical play against Washington. Lane read the next day's newspaper headline and thought it was so creative, he finally embraced the name. The headline read, Night Train Derails Choo Choo. NFL nicknames really can come from anywhere. They can be modes of
Damn.
transportation, like Night Train, or just plain modes, like Beast Mode. But made-up geographic locations? Yeah, the league has those too. Jets corner Darrelle Revis' nickname
Island.
came from his ability to lock down or strand opposing receivers when left on an island in one-on-one coverage. That island and the player would eventually go by the name Revis Island. And while Revis
Locking
spent
shit
most
down.
of his career playing for Gang Green, no list of NFL nicknames is complete without Joe Green, who blasted opposing quarterbacks so hard, fans at North Texas University started calling him Mean Joe Green. As mean as Green might have been on the field,
Damn.
often he wasn't so bad.
Yo, niggas just be grubby back in the day. He just fucking around. He
So hard,
he just kicked him, bro. It wasn't like he wasn't trying to hide it enough.
fans
but
at
like
North
he really
Texas
punted his
University
shit.
started calling him Mean Joe Green. As mean as Green might have been on the field, off it, he wasn't so bad. Just look at this Coca-Cola Super Bowl ad where a not-so-mean Joe Green enjoyed a Coke and a smile before tossing his Steeler jersey to a young fan.
Thanks, Mean Joe.
The commercial ran during the third of his 4 Super Bowl runs as a member of Pittsburgh's infamous Steel Curtain defense. Speaking of steel, the quarterback who lifted his nickname off the Man of Steel is none other than the 2015 NFL MVP, Cam Newton. With his dynamic playing style, superhuman performances, and ability to fly
But that
through
front
the
flip,
air,
though.
it only made sense for Newton to embrace his Super Cam alter ego. Cam even went as far as mimicking Superman's signature rip open your shirt and flash the S emblem move after touchdowns. Over the years, the league has been filled with nicknames inspired by comic books and action movies. There's Nick Chubb, who's also referred to as the Dark Knight.
Never heard
Lamar
that.
Action
Action
Jackson.
Jackson, yeah.
Longtime Jet Wayne Corbett, who they called the Green Lantern.
Never heard
Chris
that.
Cooley, or Captain Chaos.
Never heard that.
Robert Brazil, who went by Dr. Doom.
Never heard that.
Josh Flash Gordon.
Never heard of
And
somebody calling
finally,
that.
one of the greatest defensive players to ever lace him up, the Terminator, a.k.a. Aaron Donald. But
I've never
going
heard
from
anybody
one
call him the
defensive
Terminator.
great to another, Dick Butkus' real name
Dick
likely drew
Butkus.
laughs growing up, considering it sounded like the perfect made-up name for an adult film star. But maybe it was those laughs that helped create the most feared
Your name,
defender
Dick
to ever play the
Butkus.
game. His aggressive playing style and ferocious pursuit of anyone brave enough to carry the ball while Butkus was on the field earned him the all-too-fitting nickname of The Animal.
Oh, that nigga
His
was crazy.
toughness, tenacity, and natural ability to run down ball carriers like a true apex predator only further solidified his legacy as a true animal of the gridiron. A less intimidating, yet insanely unique animal-inspired nickname goes to Buccaneers running back Doug Martin, whose teammates called him
forgot
Muscle
about Doug
Hamster due to his
Martin, bro.
combination of muscular build and relatively short 5'9" stature. Martin
Forgot
wasn't a
about
fan
Doug
at first,
Martin.
It doesn't sound cool at all. I mean, I don't think hamsters are intimidating.
but eventually embraced it, realizing it added to his persona as a tough, formidable player despite his size. But we can't talk about animal nicknames without
The honey
mentioning
badger.
Tyrann Mathieu, who was just emerging as a Heisman Trophy finalist when around the same time a YouTube clip showing the ferocity of the honey badger went viral. Matthews' D coordinator at LSU saw the clip and instantly thought it reminded him of his starting safety, mainly because of Matthews' fearlessness on the field, but also because his bleached blonde hair matched the badger. and Matthew has been referred to as the Honey Badger ever since. And finally, we have Dolphins receiver Tyreek Hill,
Cheetah.
aka Cheetah, a name he's more than earned due to his incredible
Thanks.
speed and agility. The name refers to the fastest land animal on the planet and was given by his high school coach as a nod to Hill's remarkable quickness, acceleration, and dynamic playmaking ability. It's the perfect nickname. But Hill might have actually one-upped the Cheetah because last we checked, they can't do backflips while holding a cell phone. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video,
Hey man, that's gonna do it for the video. How NFL players got that nickname. That was a cool little video. There's a couple that I didn't even know about, bro. But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for the video. Let me see, guys, like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the vibe, man. Peace.